Welcome to another episode of Men Talk. I'm your host, Chris Cook. Today we have an amazing conversation lined up for you. I'm thrilled to introduce Braden Belknap, the owner of Journey to Authenticity and a transformative life coach. He's here to share his compelling journey of self-discovery, resilience, and transformation. Whether you are looking to make small changes of dreaming of a complete life overhaul, this episode is for you. Today I've got Braden Belknap on the pod. Braden owns Journey to Authenticity as a life coach. So Braden, I don't want to give up all of you, so just tell us about yourself.
Man, this has been a journey coming. So I just turned 25, and aspects that's really old to some people, and some people that's really young. But to me, this is as old as I've ever been. This is because of my journey and where it all started, right? So I grew up into what I considered the perfect family as through my childhood eyes, right? Yeah. I had a 3-story house. In fact, my play area was like half the size of my house it is now. We didn't worry about food, playing sports, nothing. And one day my mom called me and my siblings downstairs. And as soon as we got down there, they were crying, and there was a little bit of a weird energy in the room. And I had a sense of what that was, but my mom said, "Your father and I are getting divorced." Now, originally that confused me. What does divorce mean? And obviously my younger sister, not knowing what that meant, was like, "What's that?"
Yeah.
And they explained it, which just validated what I was thinking. Now that created 3 main limiting beliefs. 1, love is not real. Like, how can we go from a loving family to hating each other? That's weird.
Yeah.
2, you never know what's real or what's fake. To me, this was all real. Being able to play sports, not worry about food, you name it, playing basketball in my backyard. Then 2, both parents working like 2 jobs minimum, just put food on the table. It didn't feel real. I can only rely on me. I felt lied to. I felt betrayed. So if the ones that I love most are going to lie to me, who can I trust? Me, because I won't lie to me. I can't lie to me. If I tried, and I'm sure everybody's listening, tried to lie to themselves, it does not work. Now, that was at close to the beginning of 7th grade. Now, walking into 7th grade, that first day I was already questioning the meaning of life. What is the meaning of life? How can I go from a perfect life to this? I was confused. Just like we all are at 7th grade, I just think some people are a little bit more confused than others. And I'm not even saying I was the most confused. But I will say that I was struggling enough to start down a journey of drugs, alcohol, and petty theft. Fast forward, middle of 8th grade, I started to see where I was headed. I started to see people in my circle commit suicide. I saw people in my inner circle go to jail or juvie, running from cops, doing those things. And I saw that I was either headed to jail or 6 feet in the ground. And that's just the reality of it. I was super high and super drunk with all my friends in my basement. And I hear the words in the back of my head say, "Go to the bathroom." Now, I didn't have to go to the bathroom at this point. I just listened. And as soon as I shut the door, a light comes over me, and immediately I'm sober. And I hear the words, "Either you will transform and make an impact, or you will die before you graduate high school." Now, that sounds scary. And truthfully, it was like scary in a sense, but it was also like validating that I could be more. I was more. So that's the first time I looked myself in the eyes. And the way I think of this is it's like a nice Lamborghini under a car cover. You don't know what's underneath there. It's covered in dirt from over the years, but when you take it off, you just see how beautiful the car is. It was like that. In that moment, I really saw me for who I was. And I walked out, nothing changed. My emotions got worse, depression, anxiety. I cried myself to sleep more times than I would like to admit. And it's because I knew I was capable more, but I wasn't acting in accordance to that. Last day of 9th grade came, and I heard that same voice in my head say, "This is your last day to transform." And that day I went home, and I ultimately cut out anything that was tying me back to the life of drugs and petty theft. That's the first summer that I picked up books, listened to podcasts, and transformed my life. And Now I'm here coaching people one-on-one, doing events, group coaching, you name it.
That's cool, dude. That's way cool. So let's take it back just a little bit. You walk downstairs with your sisters, right?
Brother and sister.
Brother and sister, and you're the oldest.
Middle child.
Middle child. Okay. And I've been curious about this. I haven't been in that situation, but my kids are in that situation, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
What was that like? What was the relationship with your oldest sibling and your youngest? Was there anything there? Did you lean on each other in any way? What was that like?
You can think of us as just typical children. Sometimes we got along. Sometimes my sister's running upstairs. Mom, Dad.
Yeah.
Brother's beating me up.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And sometimes we are silent. Here's a weird fact about me. I actually don't really remember a lot of my childhood. I start remembering life really well at like my sophomore year of high school. I've even taken time to be like 2005 and trying to figure it out, or Disney World. And I look at pictures, I start to remember things, but I don't remember much.
Gotcha.
But I will say that us as kids, I'm grateful to say that we've always been close.
Even through your parents' divorce and everything?
I think it was hard, mixed emotions, because for me, I'd like to say that I was a perfect brother, but the truth is I wasn't.
Yeah.
Us siblings were all hurt in different ways. My brother was pivoting into college. I was going to middle school, and my sister was going in elementary school. So I almost was like the big brother, but I failed in that aspect. I was a druggy kid. What worse way to show a role model for my sister? So I can only imagine, and I'll take full responsibility for that too. I wasn't the best older brother for my sister, and I hope that I've made up for that.
Yeah.
I've apologized a million times. But along with that, I stole money from my brother at one point. Like his college savings, poor college student. $100, $200, $300, that's a lot of money to a college student. And I did apologize. I've paid him back. That was scary. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be the first one to admit that scared the crap out of me, because is my brother going to forgive me? But I knew I had to, because I wouldn't let myself get fully close to him.
Mm-hmm.
So when I apologized to him and he forgave me, there was nothing in the way.
Yeah.
He was fully forgiving. Like, I'm extremely grateful and loving of that, because I did wrong to him. I apologized, which I understand doesn't necessarily determine whether you get forgiven or not.
Right.
That helps me, because at least he knows.
The way I now see it is like the person that forgives, they're giving up the most, in the sense of like they're giving up, this person wronged me, but I'm going to forgive them to then move past it. Does that make sense? I've wanted you here. I've been thinking of a quote to share with you. I just want to know your thoughts on this, okay?
Still.
The only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance.
You're wondering what my thoughts are? So people constitute change and transformation of the same thing, as the same thing. Change is no matter what going to happen. In fact, we're living in such a fast-paced world now with technology, even in families. Everything's changing so quickly. It's going to happen. So yeah, in that sense, there's going to be the difference between victim and victor mentality, right? Victim mentality is that change does bring challenges. Sometimes it sucks. You name it. Change isn't always fun. Sometimes it's great, but it's going to happen whether we like it or not. So we can be the victim. The difference between victim and victor is that victims see the challenge, see the problem, and they soak it. The victor is willing to talk about, they're not just pushing their emotions down. They're just not discrediting their thoughts or their beliefs. They're willing to see the good and the bad and the ugly, but they're willing to create a plan moving forward. And so that's what that quote saying, go into the sponge change, or however it said it.
Yeah.
So absolutely. But the one thing that I'd like to share is that transformation is completely different. Transformation is a choice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe nothing's changing in your life right now. We've all had that time in life when life's just calm. Well, actually look at it, right? Ask yourself, what could I be doing better in life? Can you enact your own transformation? You don't need to wait until you get a wife or a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a husband, or you figure out your wife's pregnant, to be like, okay, now I'm going to be the best version of myself. You don't have to be like, oh, I'm so depressed, I'm so anxious, I'm so this, I'm so that. You don't have to wait till some dramatic thing happens and changes in life for you to be the best version of yourself. Start enacting your own transformation now, so that whether change occurs or not, you're becoming more. Because you can't achieve more without becoming more. Constitution is a lottery ticket.
Yeah.
Within 3 years, over 90% of all lottery winners are poor again, if not poorer than they were. You have to become more to achieve more. Once you become more, change is a lot easier.
It's like start now, right? So I was talking with a friend a couple of years back. He's like, I'm so sick of people saying they want to change their body and do this. I'm going to wait at the beginning of the year, so I have this full year to then transform and do all these things. No, just start now. Like, what is stopping, you know? So that's what made me think of it. The victim mentality, for me, I just have a problem with it. And the reason why I do is just because some things are actual real things. Suicidal ideations, right? Drugs. And I get, and having seen go through that, like addiction, and seeing him come off of those things was like really hard. For me, I could tell that he didn't want to be not only he didn't want to be in the situation that he was in, but like I could tell that he didn't want to do what he was doing every day. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So are you saying that you struggle with victimhood, or you struggle with seeing it as bad?
I'm struggling with it as seeing it as a bad thing. Because to me, it's almost like a form of gaslighting, where your issues aren't that bad. Like, just do it. Does that make sense?
Sure.
You can get past it. And again, and like maybe I'm like wrong on my way of thinking, but that's what, yeah.
So this is where I would say there's toxic positivity, right? We all want to be positive. We all want to be that victor. But there is a sense of toxic positivity. Like everything's unicorns and rainbows all the time, like bull crap.
Yeah.
Every level we achieve in life will bring new devils.
Right.
Now let me say that again. If your life is too easy, that probably means that you're not pushing to the next level, because every new level brings new devils. Life is a big old video game. Have some fun. But this is the difference between victim and victor. A victor is actually willing to see those struggles.
Right.
Victor is willing to be vulnerable and say, hey, I'm really struggling with anxiety, depression, drugs, alcohol, you name it. That's the true definition of a victor, is he's willing to see the truth.
Yeah.
Or she, of course. But they're willing to plan a path moving forward. A victim just sees the struggle and stays with the struggle. Poor me. I'm addicted to drugs. My parents divorced when I was really young. I stole money from my brother, and I wasn't the best big brother to my sister, and so I suck, and I'm a horrible human being. Like, that's the victim mentality. But I teach an analogy. It's called GROW, GROW. And this is genuinely follows the ensuit of what makes somebody into a victor. G stands for grasp. When you're willing to truly see the entire situation for what it's worth. Like this water bottle, for example. When you grasp the situation, it's just not looking at this and saying it's a water bottle. No, you're looking at it. You're reading the brand name. You're looking at the logo. You're looking at every single angle of this to fully understand the situation at hand. Because there's surface level and there's beneath the surface level problems, right? The surface level, you struggle with drugs. But beneath the surface, me and you probably don't fully understand what he was thinking, what he was feeling, behaviors that we don't even know about, leading to results. And that's the cycle of being stuck.
Yeah.
But you grasp the situation. surface level, beneath the surface, name it. R stands for realize. It's where you really realize the pain of transformation and growth. Transformation of transforming the situation at hand and staying the same. Really seeing the pain. Because, like for me, I was doing drugs every day. And drugs meaning like weed and alcohol, cigarette, nothing crazy. Yeah. Even when I was drunk or whatever, I felt like a loser. Because I was. You know what I'm saying? From there, overcome. You have to create that path moving forward on how to overcome the situation at hand. And then when you actually create a strategy to go out and win what's taking place. So for instance, overcome might be, I need to take step 1, 2, and 3. And when maybe I call Chris and ask for some accountability, then I execute.
So break down GROW, your acronym.
Grasp, realize, overcome, win. Grasp, you have to see the situation for what it's worth. Don't lie to yourself. Like, again, you can't lie to yourself.
Yeah.
And if you're in a situation where, like me and you are talking, don't lie to the other person. Fully grasp the entire situation. R stands for realize. See the pain. If you stayed the same right now, how much pain is that going to cause you? How much pain is that going to cause your family, your wife, your husband, whatever the case is? How much pain? Yeah. Overcome. What is your strategy? How are you going to overcome this situation at hand? Is it putting something in your schedule so that habit you don't have to think about it anymore? Is it talking to a friend? Is it apologizing? So how are you going to apologize? Create the plan. And then win. How are you actually going to execute? Win usually will come in time. It's very simple. But I may need some accountability.
Yeah.
And that's just the truth. So you need to create a strategy on how you're actually going to.
What would you say accountability is like a big thing, right? You have all these podcasts, these Instagram pages always talking about accountability, these men's groups, right? So what do you think, why do you think it's hard for a lot of people, men, women, to have that or even look at themselves like I was wrong? What do you think?
Why do people struggle with accountability within themselves?
Yeah.
Referencing back to my own story, the reason I struggle with accountability mostly is one, I didn't know how, but also if I look back on my own life, anytime I've struggled with accountability, I would say that I haven't done the internal work first. I haven't become more. For example, stopping drugs, like stopping smoking weed and drinking alcohol, cigarettes, whatever. Sounds weird, but it was cool to identify with being the cool kid. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Going from being the cool kid to the lame kid with no friends because cool kids don't want to hang out with me anymore. And that was a hard transition for me. That's why it took me so long. Mm-hmm. Because I found pleasure in identifying being the cool kid when it wasn't that cool. But to me, at that point, it was. Cool. So that's what I mean by internal work. What are you really identifying with? Because the person that identifies being a high achiever won't have a hard time being a high achiever because that's what they identify with. And that's where it comes down to. I have a quote, if you're here, it will become more so that you can achieve more. You have to become, and then the accomplishments will be accomplished.
Yeah. One thing I've noticed, even just in my own life too, like looking at your internal self, it's like you're literally looking at the ugly person in the mirror, all the ugly sides of yourself. And I think there's not a lot of people that can do that. And again, that's a blanket statement, but it's really hard to look that person in the mirror and be like, okay, this and this is like the ugliest parts of me. Like, how can I fix it? And I feel like a lot of people just aren't willing to address issues that they have. For example, the last podcast that I did, it was actually after yours when I came here. He majored in psychology, and he's a fitness coach. And we just broke down just like my eating habits. And I knew it was like a thing, but I didn't know like the root of it. So we did this practice, and basically just like my relationship with food hasn't been good ever since I was just like a kid. So there's things that happen as a young child that probably stem from it. And I'm now just noticing it of how it's affecting me now. I knew it was there, didn't know what it was, been questioning it, did a little practice.
What was your, if you don't mind me asking, what is your relationship with food?
It just doesn't interest me.
Food doesn't.
I feel like eating's a chore. Like I just eat and just to get on with my day because I have to do it. That's something I have to do, and I'm annoyed by it.
It's interesting you say that. So I'm curious. So I agree. Like eating lunch or breakfast sounds like a chore. I'd rather just drink my cup of coffee and go on with life. Even dinner. Like if I'm with my wife, I'll take the time to make a good steak dinner, whatever the case is. But if I'm alone, a quick 5-minute dinner is just fine for me.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? Like when you're with family or friends or people that you enjoy time with, do you find enjoyment in food then?
Yeah, but I'll still treat it the same way. Like I'll just eat just to get it over with.
It's interesting.
Like it's not a thing I enjoy.
That's fair.
If I'm invited to go somewhere, yeah, I'll go. I don't have a place I'd specifically go to. I just go to go.
My solution is usually what's cheapest. Because if anybody knows,
Yeah.
the dollar menu is not a thing anymore. It's like the $7 menu or something like that.
So, yeah, it's been a thing in my life. And one other thing I've been working on too. So it's like my eating thing and then just discovering my birth family, trying to understand that, trying to overcome the pain from it, and then seeing them.
And I think that's amazing that you mentioned that, and I'll tell you why. As we grow up, per se, see, there's growing up, and then there's, how do I explain this? This statement, oh, just grow up, right?
Yeah.
That discredits thoughts, emotions, everything. Growing up,
It's a put down.
yeah.
It is.
As I grow up and you become you and the person that you want to be, you have to realize that every thought, every emotion, every behavior, every result in life, whether we're a kid or an adult, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
We think maybe our thoughts were different back then, our
Right.
emotions, whatever the case is. This is new for you. And so no matter how long it takes to, there's so much you're uncovering. It's like your identity. It's a big part of who you are is that I'm assuming, I can't speak for you,
Yeah.
but I'm assuming that you're trying to understand that part of you because in a sense, that's where you come from, but you weren't growing up in that. So it's like, where do I fit in here? I don't know. I'm speaking out of unknowing, so I shouldn't be speaking at all on that.
Yeah, I would say you're right on some of that. Yeah, there's been a lot of unknowns. There's been a lot of information I've gotten so quick I didn't know what to do with. But yeah, compounding impact. Tell us your view.
Compounding impact, you have to start with one. The first person you got to impact is yourself.
So at a young age, playing football, I'm glad you said this because I remember one of our coaches, it was probably hockey. He's like, throughout one of the years, he's just asked, who's the biggest leader on the team? And we're like, what's our captain or our assistant captain? Like every practice. And then towards like the end, I think everyone started getting it. I don't think anybody fully got it, but years later, I like asked him like why he like would ask us this, right? Because I just want to establish in you guys that you guys are your own biggest leader. It's when you get out of bed, when you get up and do all those things, like it starts with you first. Right? Like you're your biggest leader and then everything else follows. You have to just show up.
Absolutely. You have to be willing to look at the person in the mirror
Yeah.
and say, you're a pretty cool cat and we're going to make life happen. But that's the truth. You got to start with you and compounding impact. That's why I say never give up. Like on this podcast, genuinely never give up.
Yeah.
Why? Because you're impacting me right now. I get to share this to my social media.
Yeah.
Might impact another 10 people. At some point, 1 turns to 2, 2 turns to 4, 4 turns to 8, 8 turns to 16, 16 turns to 32. Even if it took 10 years for this podcast to launch and be big, I'm not saying it will take that long,
Right.
obviously. I don't wish that upon you.
Yeah.
Hopefully a year, hopefully 6 months, hopefully a month.
No.
You never know. It takes
Yeah.
one guest to completely transform your podcast. One post.
One post, yeah.
But if it takes time, at some point you will succeed. Because at some point, enough people are going to learn about you. Enough people are going to listen to the podcast that at some point you will make it.
Yeah.
Now, what determines making it is obviously up to you for
Right.
you to determine.
And like, what is success? And success is just so subjective.
Yeah, but that applies to anybody. If you're even just somebody that's wanting to work a normal job, okay. Let's take that and make a big impact. Let's go to work with a smile on our face.
Yeah.
Let's really see what we can do to impact that one person. Why? Because if we're willing to talk to one person with human decency and really see them as a human being, they're going to go to their families in a better spirit.
Right.
They're going to go home and they're going to have more energy to where when their kid runs up and says, Mom, Dad, whatever the case is, instead of them thinking, I'm so tired, they're going to say, hey, it's so good to see you.
Yeah.
And we may not see that impact, but true impact is a ripple effect. You may throw rock in the middle of the lake and you don't even see how many ripples it makes.
Right.
You're not going to see that in life, but I'm here to tell you that every interaction you make is making an impact for the better or worse.
My daughter, my youngest on my chest here, my other daughter here, and my daughter Cora's, Dad, can we play this game? It's like, sweetheart, like I can barely keep my eyes open. Like I'm holding your sister, and then I put her to bed, and I just came back down, and I was just like, just passed out on the couch next to her. And like this morning, she goes back to her mom, and like as soon as I pulled out of the driveway, I was like, if I'm feeling the way I am, feeling horrible, it's like, how does she feel right now? Like I'd miss an opportunity to sit down and just play a game for 10 minutes. Kids will always remember the good things. It just takes that one time. Like that bad thing that they might just hold on to. He could have done this, but he didn't. If that makes like any sense.
Absolutely.
And who knows, maybe she's doesn't feel that way because she's watching your show at the time. Who knows? But yeah. So what I'm saying is like any dads out there, anyone, it's just like those missed opportunities suck once you realize the next day that you had it.
Absolutely.
Not saying there's more to come, but.
And so 2 things, if that's okay.
Yeah.
How many dads wait 10 years until their kids are out of the house to recognize the opportunities that they missed? You missed one opportunity to play a game. That's all right. Because next time you're with your daughter, guess what you can do?
Play a game.
You get to pull out that game and say, hey, I know I was tired last time, but I would love to play this game with you. That's going to brighten your daughter up because you were intentional. Hey, I know I was tired last time. I just want you to know I was excited then. I'm excited now, and I would love to play this game with you.
Yeah.
But second, as you were saying that, honestly, I think it's okay for kids to be told no. Because as us parents, let's be real, we get tired. Parent, I'm now parent. But even with my wife, right?
Yeah.
She wants to do something and I'm exhausted. It's okay to say no. I think it's how we say it. Like, for example, my wife. Hey, babe, let's go do this today. And maybe I've been working 7 days straight, 12 hours, and I'm tired. The way I would communicate is, hey, love, honestly, I totally want to do that with you. Although because of X, Y, Z, I'm really tired right now. Can we do that later tonight or can we do that tomorrow? Essentially,
like options.
I would essentially say, I want to do that with you. Can we do that later? So it's oftentimes that parents will be on their phones, their kids walk in and they're like, hey, mom, dad, and we're not giving them attention, right? I think that's actually okay because our parents, especially as fathers, as far as I'm concerned, it's our job to provide for the family.
Yeah.
as I've thought about this because I'm a busy guy at times. If my kid walks in, it's okay for me to say, hey, I want to talk to you. Can I talk to you in 10 minutes? That way I'm not rejecting them. It's just putting it off. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Another thing, what's it called? I'm my own worst critic.
Sure.
But yeah, I like what you have to say about that. Whereas there's a boundary. It's now, let me get this done, then we can do it. Or, hey, I can't right now. Do you want to do it later tomorrow? I think the options are really good.
Yeah.
That you mentioned.
Because nobody wants to feel rejected.
Yeah.
I hate feeling rejected.
It's not great.
I'm okay with it, but especially by our family, right? Because if you asked me to go knock on a door and try to sell something and then I get a door slammed in my face, I'm honestly going to have a giggle. That's funny. Like, I just made this person that angry to slam their own door.
Right.
Okay.
You're ruining your own house. Your own door.
But when you get rejected by anybody from family, it hurts a little bit more.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that option makes it not hurt because it's like, oh, it's not that they don't want to play. It's not that they don't want to do this with me. They just have something else going on.
Right.
And that sense of vulnerability and being human with your family is a powerful aspect. And I think it shows two things. One, I think it's good to teach your daughters that it's okay to be told no, but it's also okay for them to say no. But the no is different when you say, hey, I actually really want to do that with you. I'm just going through XYZ. Let's do this tomorrow. I think that's a positive way to do it.
It is. I think so too. So, and I have a couple questions for you. Relationships, love and relationships. You're married or love with like your friends, family. What is, two questions. What does love mean to you? And how has love helped you in your life?
To me, love is home. Love is when you can have such a hard day at work and you can come home and I don't care. I'm a man. I'm like, I don't want to be the big spoon. You be the big spoon. You know what I'm saying? It's where you feel at home.
Okay.
It's where you guys can have an argument the day before, but you can look at each other the next day and say, I love you, honey. I love you, babe, whatever the case is. I don't know how to better explain that because love is overused. I could say, for example, one of my favorite foods is chicken and waffles. And I could say, I love chicken and waffles, but I also could say, I love my wife. I wish there was a different word that explained the love of a wife. Honestly. Because even the love for my mom is different than the love for my wife. The love for my sister, my brother is different than my wife. So I wish there was different words for the meaning of love. I mean, we have a lot of other words that practically say the same thing, but love we don't, and I don't understand that.
Yeah.
But love is home.
Okay. And what do you love about yourself?
My resilience.
Okay.
I'm stubborn. When I want something, I will go and get it. It comes down to the thing where I'm really like, I don't give up.
Yeah.
Nobody better ever ask me to quit. Truth is, I work at a 9-to-5 job right now.
Yeah.
I'm on my way out because I've been resilient.
Yeah.
Just never give up. If you've dreamt something, it's already yours. You just need to go and get it.
Go and get it, yeah.
I'm 25. If it takes 10 years, I'm 35, baby. I'll rock it at 35 for the rest of my life. Hell yeah, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Sorry if I can't swear on here.
I don't give a shit, dude. I don't give a shit. Say whatever you want.
You know what I'm saying, though? That's what I respect most. Because the truth is, some days I wake up and I'm like, I wish the sun didn't come up for another 10 hours right now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, I struggle with thoughts, emotions, habits sometimes, and results.
What do you say you struggle with the most?
But the truth is, I struggle the most. I've been better at this.
Yeah.
And this is where I used to be a victim. I have to go to work instead of working my business. I have to do this instead of working on my business. And now I turned it into I get to. Because the truth is my 9-to-5 work serves me in my coaching because I'm a leader over in my current job. And we bring in millions of dollars. That helps me for when I go to a company that is worth billions or trillions or just a couple 100,000.
Yeah.
I have that experience that I now have the mindset in my job that I get to go to work today and I get to develop skills that I get to bring with me into my business.
Yeah.
They're completely two different things, but the skill sets carry over.
Right.
That's what I struggled with most. And the emotion of I have to created negative thoughts, negative emotions of feeling like I'm stuck, I'm never going to get out of poor me, creating toxic behaviors, not moving towards my goals efficiently, not making the impact I could, not being the best version of myself, which means I'm not being the best version of myself for my wife and so on and so forth. It's toxic. So that's what I would say I was struggling with the most. I've transformed that in recent times. And now I feel good. I'm not saying that there's nothing that I have to work on right now. I am in a situation that I feel really good about myself.
That's good. That's really good. There's a lot of others that can get there. They just need to just put that work in themselves.
Yeah, that's just the truth. Any life coach that doesn't say they have any problems, just fire them or don't follow. They have problems. They're human.
Right.
It's important for all coaches to be vulnerable. And I think that's a problem in our industry, especially even the podcasting industry, is that everybody wants to be constrained as perfect. There's so many coaches here in Utah that are big deal and they act perfect and they're not. And that's
I was going to ask you to talk about this.
Let's cut the bullshit. Honestly, let's just cut the bullshit. You struggle too. You're an asshole sometimes too, just like I can be an asshole. Let's not fake it. Let's just talk about the problems and how to transform them. It goes back to the victor. I'm willing to recognize and admit my faults.
Right.
I'm also going to show you how I transformed.
I don't get it. If you're yelling at me, those are literally fighting words. I just don't get it.
Anytime somebody raises their voice at me, it's a trigger for me.
Yeah.
I've worked on this too. Trust me. When somebody raises their voice at me, subconsciously, I go into fight mode.
Yeah.
I think that's the reason, though, is that when they yell, it creates an immediate emotional experience, creating a certain behavior. So by yelling, it creates a certain, obviously everybody has a perspective on yelling, right? Everybody's experienced it with their parents, strangers, you name it, themselves. So when somebody gets yelled at, they already have immediate past behavior, past experiences with yelling. From there, they immediately have thoughts, which create emotions, which creates behaviors,
And then
which creates result.
Yeah.
Why? Because motion equals emotion. Yelling creates an immediate emotion, which snaps somebody into reacting in a certain way. I'm not saying I agree with it, it certainly does create an emotional experience.
I don't know. I don't know if it's the way. I didn't grow up in a yelling environment, but maybe it's just from sports over the years.
And it depends on the yelling too, because there's some coaches yelling, right? For example, I follow some.
I've heard the Grant Cardones, for the Sean Whalen. For me, it's interesting how someone can take it and then produce results. Does that make sense? From yelling, from getting in someone's face, from these things. I don't know.
So
and it's not just those two. I'm sure there's thousands of other ones like that.
So it's just
not for me.
There's so many different ways to go about this, because I think a lot it comes down to intention too. When you're communicating, there's three things. There's what you say, there's how to say it, and then there's when you say it. So what you're saying, if somebody's calling me an idiot and that I suck and I'm this, that, and the third, and they're saying in a really tone that they mean it, and they're essentially undercutting all of the value that I've created for myself in life, my family, whatever the case is, I'm definitely going to be fighting back.
Yeah.
Or I'm just going to walk away and I'm going to think that you're an asshole. The other way, if somebody's like, Braden, I love you so much, but you're acting like an idiot. You're not being the best version of yourself. You're not creating the optimal results for you and your family. You're not going to become or nor achieve the life that you want for your family if you don't cut this shit out. If somebody's really yelling at me with that intention of coming from a caring manner, naturally, I'm probably going to hear them. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
I see it that way. For me, it's like if someone were to come to me and say that, I'm like, okay, how? We'll just figure it out. I've been in a situation. You're telling me to fix it. I can only go so far with my critical thinking. What do you see?
absolutely.
Does that make sense? Because that's one thing I see too. And granted, they could have it's a 45-second reel of someone saying that, but they're not really explaining what that is. So it's more of I'm telling you this, then I'm leaving, and then figure it out. Is that, or is that how that is?
Yeah. And hopefully the person that's doing that, my solution is give any and all value.
Yeah.
As a coach, I've had people like say, stop giving so much. Ask. And don't get me wrong, I can be better about asking. If you look at my marketing strategy, it's rare that I'm like, hey, sign up for my one-on-one coaching program here and we're going to really transform your life, because I offer one-on-one coaching. With that, I'm a firm believer, don't hold back. Give as much value as humanly possible.
Yeah.
Because you could give all of the answers in your book. Somebody's going to want one-on-one coaching.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to want you to take them
Yeah.
deeper. That's just the truth. Absolutely. I think
It's like telling someone, hey, you have the potential to do X, Y, Z, and then just walk out the door. It's okay. How? What do you mean? No, but you'll figure it out. What do you see? How do you, tell me what you're thinking. No, but you're going to figure it out.
absolutely. And here's what I'll say is that everybody that talks about their beliefs is going to believe that they're true. And that's why we see a lot of, this is the one way to get rich. This is the one way to transform your life. This is the one way to have the ultimate love in your entire life. And then you're going to have the best family. And there's always these step-by-step programs on how to get X, Y, Z result, right? The reason they're so confident is because it worked for them. I'm extremely confident on my 7 steps to transform your life. I genuinely believe if you sit down with me for an hour and you're willing to be vulnerable, you can change practically anything, transform practically anything. I'm confident on that because it's worked for me.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I can mold my coaching to anybody else, but Grant Cardone, he's very confident on what he says. It worked for him. That doesn't mean that there's not 100 other ways to get rich.
Do you think that hurts him, though?
With some people, but not with the average person. Doesn't know how to think for themselves. The average person, when they hear a billionaire saying, this is how to get rich, invest with me, they're going to be like, oh, I want that yacht. I want that plane. So a lot of people struggle with seeing through the crap.
Gotcha.
Not saying that what Grant Cardone
It is bad.
I'm not saying go do it with him either, though. I've never invested with him. I'm not saying you shouldn't or should, but I'm just saying that he's confident on it because it's worked for him.
Gotcha.
But each person listening to this, follow your intuition, man. You were born with it. Everybody has the gift of intuition. I am a firm believer on that. Yeah. It's like a sense. In fact, I know everybody was born with intuition. You can see, you can feel, you can smell. In fact, if you lose a sense, all your other senses get stronger. You hear stories of blind people riding bikes. It's possible.
Yeah.
It's because their other senses they've learned to trust, rely on. Your intuition will become stronger more oftentimes than you listen to it. And I'll break this down because I know a lot of people are saying, Whatever, Braden. I don't remember the last time I had an intuition. Just ask yourself these two simple questions. Let's say you're trying to make a decision on, should I go with this coaching program? Should I go with this one? Should I get this specific job or should I get this one? What makes you want to fly high and what makes you want to curl up in a ball? Because naturally you're going to be able to answer that question. And whatever makes you want to fly high intuitionally is what you should do. Every time. And if you fall, then you'll be fine too.
Yeah. So what would you say to someone that like sees value in coaching, but they're just prideful in their own way of doing what they just want to do and figure out, and then find coaching once they're failing?
So this is what I'll say to that. You either overcome your challenges by paying money or by giving in your time. If somebody has the money, even if it's scraping by, that will save you years of pain. It just will. And if you're too prideful, that's fine. If you want to slow your life down, if you want to slow your impact down. Now, for me, there's been times in my life that I haven't had money. For example, I would have loved to hire somebody to show me exactly how to run an event. But at that point, I was trying to pay for everything I learned. I had some pain because running an event and starting an event and marketing it right it's a process, right? I learned with my time. Now I can run an event efficiently, but it's because I struggled my first 2 events. Right? If I had the money to pay somebody, then I don't have to deal with pain and I get immediately to get the result. So you can just look at coaching as a way to save your time. But if you don't have the money, then it's okay.
Yeah.
Pay with your time.
Gotcha. Right on. Yeah.
If you're in a position that you really want to transform your life, if you're in a position that you don't just want motivation in your life to feel good, if you don't just want motivation that one day you want to go rock the world and the next you don't, then go to BradenBelknap.com, look at my one-on-one coaching, and set up a discovery call with me where we can dive into an hour conversation where I'll really take you through understanding where you're at now, where you want to go, and creating a strategy to overcome that. We'll overcome your biggest obstacle at that time too. And from there, we can begin our journey of transforming your life hand in hand. Or you'll have a strategy to take with you to do on your own.
There you go. Sweet, dude. I appreciate you hopping on the podcast.
Absolutely. I hope I offered value to you and your audience.
For sure. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I don't have a closing.
Mic drop. That's the closing, man.
Just throw it. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode with Braden Belknap. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and leave a review on your favorite platform. Remember, transformation starts with you. Start making impactful changes today. Stay motivated and never give up on your dreams. See you next time.